Hey everybody, and welcome back to another book review. So this review is actually on a really short book, and I would kind of classify it more in the like self-help but also like professional development realm. And the book is called Fight Languages, and it is by, hold on, wait, let me get her name right, Lena Morgan, I believe. Yeah. And we actually started a discussion at school where I work, where I am right now, and we were discussing fight languages during our staff meeting, and we just kind of like loosely glossed over it, but they gave us a copy of her book, which is kind of like a workbook a little bit. It's got some space where you can journal and write questions and reflect on things, and it also has like a little survey, if you will, that we all took before we had the discussion. And we were like, we don't understand this. And then, after you had the discussion, it made a ton of sense. But, they gave us the book. And most of the time when we get books, people don't really read it. But this one is actually super short. And so I read it almost in one sitting. I had to, get up and do a couple things. But it was a really great book. Took tons of notes, did a lot of annotation in the book space, and just really good stuff, just good for reflecting. So fight languages there are a couple different things that kind of fall into this. So a fight language is just how you communicate when you're fighting. It's not a bad thing to be in one fight language or another. It's more about just understanding, like, this is how I am when I am arguing with somebody or having conflict or in a discussion. And so this is why, I always have conflict with this person or don't always have conflict with this person. And it's different for every person. It's kind of like not really a roadmap, but kind of a cheat sheet, if you will, for bettering your communication, which I'm all about, bettering your communication. What I really like that she says is that we fight to feel understood in our experience and to better understand others, which I cannot agree more. A lot of times when you have conflict with somebody, you are just trying to understand their point of view, but you're also saying, like, this is my point of view at the same time. And it's all about experience. And I really like that phrase. I've been using it a lot. Of just saying, in my experience. When I'm talking with somebody, especially if it's more of a conflict type situation, and even when it's not a conflict situation, I have been experiencing you as this, and that's really hard, and it makes communicating with you very difficult sometimes. So perhaps we can try whatever. So there are, I think, 5 fight languages, and it tells you, like, if you take the little quiz, it tells you kind of a percentage of like where you fall, and in that, it also is different depending on different things. And so I know, like, a lot of when we were having our discussion at school, a lot of us are teachers, of course, and so we were all saying that a lot of us thought about it in terms of like how we deal with conflict with our kids that we serve, but you could also look at it in terms of conflict with just adults, or having conflict with people at work versus having conflict with people at home is a lot of times 2 very different things. But at the same time, you also see a lot of the same things. You see a lot of the same patterns and stuff like that. So there are 5 fight languages. You have an amplifier, an analyzer, a negotiator, an igniter, and an extinguisher. And so I fall in the analyzer and the negotiator camp. When I took the little quiz, I was almost a dead split between the 2. I personally feel like I am definitely more of an analyzer. So let me just go through what each of those are. So an amplifier is somebody who tends to feel like they need to be validated. They're constantly the ones that are more emotional. It's the people that tend to cry more frequently when they're having conflict. But at the same time, they can also be the loud person. They're trying to make their emotions so loud that they can't be ignored. So that's when you see a lot of yelling, a lot of screaming, and things like that. And it can be very overwhelming to other people. And then their whole thing is they just need to validate their own emotional experience so that they can be understood. And I'm sure we can all think of tons of people who fall into this camp. Then we have the analyzer. The analyzer, like I said, I'm more in the analyzer camp. They can call out anything less than what they perceive to be 100% true or fair, and will find small inaccuracies, which allows them to feel justified in dismissing points of view, and then hold people accountable not to let things go. Very fact-based. 100% me. I am definitely I'm sorry. So 3 weeks ago, you said that, and I will go through like the list of all the things that you said. And in talking with some of the other analyzers that I work with, I was like, yeah, we're all the same person. It's just kind of funny. Then you have the extinguisher. This person is so fascinating the way that it's described, because a lot of times they describe the extinguisher as feeling the most powerless. But it's because they're just needing some time to just disassociate with whatever it is. So they need time to ponder and consider. A lot of times the safest way to survive is to avoid. And it's also very hard to re-engage after they've escaped conflict, and they won't always initiate a restorative conversation. So typically, like with an extinguisher, this is going to be the person, like, if you start to have conflict with them, they're just going to be like, okay, whatever, and then like walk off, and it's going to be very hard to like bring them back. Which, funny enough, that's my husband's highest, is the extinguisher. Then you have the igniter. This one's another one that's kind of like a flip. So they can either shed light very strongly on a situation, or they can burn it all to the ground with said light. So initial response is to protect themselves from vulnerability. They can be intimidating enough that no one will want to push the conflict any further. And a lot of times after a conflict, depending on how the conflict goes, they can burn the relationship instead of try to repair it. Which I work with a couple of igniters, which is not necessarily a bad thing. The thing about an igniter is you really want an igniter around is because they're also the person that will protect somebody else. They are not going to let somebody get disrespected or whatever. They're going to be the ones to say something, which can be a good thing. It can also be kind of an annoying thing, because you're like, I can fight for myself. But there's that. And then the last one is the negotiator, which is the other one that I'm split with. This is another one that has kind of a flip in it. It can feel like a warm support, or it can feel like a smothering of emotions. I tend to go, personally, I believe that I tend to fall into the warm support, but I know that I have been known to smother, so I've kind of backed off of it a little bit. The goal of a negotiator is to end the conflict so that things can appear peaceful again, but it doesn't always mean the conflict is resolved. Facts. And sometimes we ignore our own needs and focus on the needs of others. Facts. Where was I? A lot of times we can, as a negotiator, deflect with humor, instead of, actually getting to the source of the problem. And we can also often make one-sided plans. Facts. I am definitely a person like, okay, we've had a conflict. Here is your solution, and this is what you're gonna do. I'm very much that way. I don't like to have conversations of like, oh, well, maybe. No, this is what you're gonna do, period. Point blank. So yeah, so like I said, book is really good. Really short read, 70 pages, kind of a workbooky thing. Like I said, I took lots of notes, and I just really enjoyed kind of getting into that mindset a little bit more, and just, further understanding, giving name to something. I love, a lot of people don't like labeling things, and I'm not saying that it's an all-encompassing thing or everybody is the same way. but I do like being able to name something and to deeper understand it. So really good book. Love that. Again, Fight Languages by Lena Morgan. Great book, 5 out of 5, easy read, and really enjoyed it. So there you have it. That is all for this book review. We are almost to the end of 2024. We are going to thrive in 2025, and we're going to keep it moving. So look forward to probably about 2 more books maybe this year before we wrap it up, and I'll do a book review over like top books for 2024. And then of course, thank you as always for following along on this book journey, and hope you all are enjoying some book reads as well. And I will see you in the next book review. Bye.